This program contains depictions of suicide and footage of real combat situations. Viewer discretion is advised.
It came over the radio.
They'd been blown up.
We thought we were being mortared. It just absolutely blown the worry to bits.
I remember just looking at the aftermath all around it.
Heads that weren't connected to bodies, debris all over the place. Everything goes numb. This was turning out to be a life-changing night.
No one should ever have to see that.
No human being should ever have to see something like that.
My name's Ryan, I'm 37 years old. I grew up in a place called Accrington, a small little town in Lancashire.
My name is Patricia Freeston. Ryan's my eldest son.
As a child, you know, I had a fantastic family. I was brought up by my nan.
Ryan's nan saw him being born. She was there at his birth. So that bond between Ryan and his nan was extra special. He was a good kid, but he seemed to get in with the wrong crowd.
Me and my cousins were really close, and my cousins was on a night out. Someone were following him and he said that they was annoying him, so they battered this person and they put him in ICU. I thought if I was there and I'd have joined in, you know, we'd have probably killed him.
His other cousin was in and out of prison, and I thought Ryan was going to do the same.
Another one of my cousins had just been sent to prison, and another one of my cousins just got murdered.
On the 9th of July 2005, Ryan's cousin Daniel was killed in an altercation at just 18 years old. The loss devastated Ryan and his family, marking a turning point that would shape his future.
We were really close, we were like brothers, and he got strangled and he got murdered.
I think it really, really frightened Ryan then, and he seemed to grow up overnight.
I sat back and I thought, this is going to go one or two ways. I'm either going to end up in prison or I'm going to end up dead. And I thought, I need to get away from this place.
After Daniel's death, Ryan knew he needed a change. He made the decision to join the British Army, setting him on a path that would define his future.
Someone recommended it to me, and I told everyone, I remember telling everyone I'm going to join the army. Everyone just laughed at me.
When Ryan said he was joining up to go in the army, I laughed. I gave him 6 months.
There was only my nan who believed I would. I think that's what really lit a fire under me and made me want to make it work and make it happen.
Despite doubts that Ryan wouldn't last in the army, he proved everyone wrong, passing out of the Infantry Training Centre Catterick in June 2006.
Ryan's passing out parade were the proudest day of me in his nan's life, and we were so proud of him.
So I deployed to Iraq on Telic 9. So I went there as a Kingsman when I was in the Duke of Lancasters. That was in 2006, 2007.
My name is Carl Gardner, and during Telic 9, I was the company sergeant major of Arnhem Company.
My name's Paul Johnson. Been in the army for 21 years now. I met Ryan many years ago when we were in Iraq for my second time, which was his first tour.
In November 2006, the 2nd Battalion, the Duke of Lancaster's Regiment, deployed in Iraq on Telic 9. Those who had served on Telic 7 returned to a battlefield that had changed beyond recognition. No one expected the devastation that lay ahead.
Before deploying to Iraq, I thought it was going to be a bit of a doddle. You know, I was a bit nervous.
So the difference between Telic 7 and Telic 9 was vast.
Telic 9 was not what anyone expected.
Some of the firefights that we got into were pretty intense.
Op Telic 9 became infamous for being the most aggressive, violent and devastating tour of any of the British Army employments to Iraq and Basra City.
But then he was getting out there, and the reality sunk in then that why the deaths happened and how it does happen.
Operation Telic 9 was brutal and unrelenting, with two Lancs locked in intense combat throughout the tour. But the bloodiest night was still to come. A defining moment that would stay with those who lived through it for the rest of their lives.
We were doing a strike on the building, and as soon as the Arnold Company went in, we came under constant fire straight away from the enemy. And this was rifle fire, RPGs that were pinging off our warriors, bouncing all over the place, exploding all around us. We were fixed basically in that area, protecting the Yorks who were doing the strikes.
Yeah, we was on a strike up. I think the strike up had happened. We was withdrawing.
We were initially meant to go down the route towards Yellow 2, and the recce platoon turned up and they decided to go down that route themselves, so we went right towards up towards the red route and the green route. Wayne Floyd, the commander at the time, he had seen something on the road.
And then an IED went off and it blew up our tank. It was that close, it knocked out Sean.
So Sean was sat directly opposite me, and I remember just seeing him passed out. We didn't realise at the time, but the wagon had tipped.
We heard another massive bang. And so we thought we were being mortared.
And we thought, bloody hell, they're zoned in, they're honed in on us here with the mortars.
At the same time the explosion happened, they came under an immense amount of fire with an ambush on the left with RPGs and sustained gunfire.
And it came over the radio that the recce call sign had gone down the route that we were meant to go down, they'd been blown up.
It came over the radio. We've got 5 KIAs in the back, which was the 4 soldiers and the 1 interpreter.
It just absolutely blown the warrior to bits. So they'd put an underbelly IED and they'd blown the warrior up.
When you get that over the radio and you're in a position of command and you hear that, your heart sinks. Everything goes numb, everything becomes surreal, but your training kicks in and you've got to do a job.
But then I remember going towards the vehicle that had been blown up, and I remember Col O'Brien grabbing Ryan and going over to the wagon. So I was on the extremities, and I remember just looking at the aftermath all around it.
There was a massive crater in the road. There was debris from the vehicle all over the place. There was even parts of bodies and everything else. This was turning out to be a life-changing night for everyone involved.
I remember the vehicle being there and towed up, and then one of the other commanders shouted me over. I can't remember what it was for, but he said, like, don't look, thing, and so what's your natural thing to do? You look. And
I didn't actually see in the back of the wagon, but I remember seeing the door open, and I remember seeing people get ushered left, right, because of the mass incident that had happened inside. It was traumatic.
There was heads that weren't connected to bodies and everything. It was just one of them experiences that you should never have to experience.
Like, just the carnage, what you're seeing, like, no one should ever have to see that. Like, 19-year-old kid seeing that, and yeah, it was horrendous. But at that time, you just just got to crack on, ain't you? You know, you've got to show emotions, you've got to show feelings.
No human being should ever have to see something like that in a lifetime.
Yeah, it's a hard one to think about and it's a hard one to talk about.
It was hard as a company sergeant major, looking at your soldiers. Some of them just took the helmets off, cried, just started crying uncontrollably on the floor. Some of them were angry, were throwing the helmets.
To me, the way that we were told to do the very British thing when we returned back to camp, that was quite a hard pill to swallow because it was the first major incident I was involved in. And it was almost as though like, okay, show your stiff upper lip, we're British, this has happened, yeah, it's very, very sad, but let's get on with it.
It was a life-changing patrol. Yellow to Alpha, no soldier will ever forget that night who was there.
After the bloodiest night, the regiment returned to its normal routine, but 17 days later, Ryan received news that would change everything.
While I was at work, I got a sad call. I then rang Ryan.
We was in Sharper Log Base. I remember I got a missed call off my mum, which I thought, this is really weird. I rang my mum and she like cried. I'm like, what's up?
Having to tell Ryan that his nan had died while he was over there was one of the hardest things I ever had to do as a parent. Them screams down the phone from him.
She told me that my nan had died, and I remember just going mental and smashing the phone in. Everyone's like, what the... You know, just the person who I love most in the world, the person who my biggest support, you know, like, when everything, she'd gone.
With the sad news of Ryan's nan passing away, his tour ended 1 month prior to the remainder of the regiment.
When Ryan returned back from Iraq, the spark had gone out of his eyes. He came back a totally different person.
I was so mad at everything. If someone said something to me,
he'd blow up at the slightest thing. He'd fight with anybody. He'd argue with everybody.
Didn't care. Didn't care about anything. Didn't care where I lived, didn't care where I died, just didn't care. I felt numb.
It was awful for a long while. Slightest bang and he'd jump. And obviously, because I've never been to war, I can't imagine what he went through out there.
I just felt like I had nothing.
And it wasn't just his nan dying, it was him watching his friends being killed out there. At the end of the day, you can't send a kid to war and not come back normal. It's impossible.
Felt like a lot of me got taken away in Iraq, and then also my nan got taken away. I wanted to have something, you know, what were mine, what I didn't feel what could be taken away.
Returning from Iraq wasn't easy for Ryan. With the loss of his nan and the months of violence spent in conflict, a lot had changed in him. In 2010, life took a new turn as he became a father to Ashton.
What are you doing?
Having Ashton, I think, helped Ryan a lot.
Yeah.
Having my son Ashton saved me. I just wanted to be a different person for this little bundle of joy that were coming into the world, you know.
mate.
I think if Ashton hadn't come along, I think Ryan would have drank himself to death because he was drinking really heavily.
And I really just wanted to get my head down, so I suppressed everything. I put everything and I buried it deep down. You know, like all this anger, all this pain, buried it deep down, so far down. That's what I did to be the best person and the best father I could be.
My name's Wayne Elliott. I'm a Warrant Officer Class 2 in the Royal Army Medical Services. Ryan was one of the most dedicated and committed soldiers that I'd worked with.
I just threw myself into work. I came like a proper workaholic, working so many hours because I didn't give me a chance to think about anything else.
His approach was aggressive, but he was thorough and diligent. He would rub some people up the wrong way because of it, and not a lot of people took to him.
You know, I'd get angry. If anything, I'd overreact way too much.
No idea. Very angry man. He's even zooming on Corporal feasting. Obviously not getting any at home. Very angry.
And as time went on, his temper got shorter and shorter, and I definitely noticed that throughout the years that I knew him.
I didn't think there was something wrong because it had become so normal.
Go on, chappy lad.
A couple of years after Ashton, sometimes he'd cry for nothing and he just wasn't himself.
In 2020, Ryan and his family were posted in Kenya. But the move brought more than just a change of scenery. When his marriage broke down, everything he'd buried began to resurface.
When I was based in Kenya, the last person who I was married to, we went out there as a family.
Ryan and his family were also part of the forces out in Kenya, where of meeting up, going out for meals and even trips away.
Our relationship was not great, and when we split up, she went back to the UK and Ashton went back to the UK. And for the first time since after Iraq, I was on my own. And everything started to fall apart pretty fast.
In Kenya, I was perfectly placed to see the deterioration in Ryan's mental health and general well-being. He was more anxious. He would lose his temper more. He would overthink stuff.
I remember starting to feel so down.
Ryan was phoning me all the time while he was in Africa. He was crying all the time down the phone.
It was actually me who turned around to Ryan and said, I don't think you're very well. I think you need to get some medical attention.
I reached out to the doctors, and that was scary. That was a hard thing to do because it was always frowned upon in the army, the mental health. And yeah, I reached out to doctors and they put me in touch with Alice.
My name is Alice Blanchard, and I have been a qualified therapist for about 35 years.
I remember when I first went in there, I was like, I don't want to talk to you. I didn't want to risk losing my career.
It became clear pretty early on that Ryan had PTSD.
We started doing sessions, I think after about 6 weeks. She told me I remember when she told me that I had PTSD. I honestly cried so much. How can I not be right up there?
I think folks in the military are resilient, are strong, are able to say, the bad stuff happened, but it's part of what we do. We have to put all the tough stuff in what I call the parallel universe. We tuck it away. Yeah, that's what we do. That's the tough stuff.
We firstly worked on putting my nan to bed, and then what we started working on the events of Iraq.
In terms of trauma therapy, what we have to do is to approach those memories slowly, to address those memories carefully, to use the technique that we used was EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. And that's a therapy model that can allow us to rapidly process trauma that is manageable, but allows us to work on some of the more overwhelming memories much slower.
Ryan returned from Kenya in 2022. He was still undergoing treatment from Alice, but confronting the past changed him for good. Old wounds reopened, making everyday life a struggle.
When I got back to the UK, I remember I just started to feel really, 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 really low.
You know, I expected him to come back and to be the same person that I knew. Then very quickly I realised that that wasn't the case. Once I saw Ryan back in uniform and I saw him in work, I saw that he was not the man that I knew before. He was completely changed, and he started to become very quickly a shadow in work of the person that I knew he was.
Ryan's biggest change really was going extremely quiet.
I felt so on my own, and it's just such a lonely, horrible, deep place to be.
I felt like Ryan was suffering with really bad depression.
So that was heartbreaking to then see someone so close to me, you know, did fall apart in front of my eyes. Every day it got harder for him. Every day I could see the pain in his eyes.
And Ryan got to a point where he felt he could no longer carry on.
And I planned it, I was just going to get my weapon. I was just going to go up and just end it all. Just fucking end it all. I just planned on putting it in my mouth and just fucking blowing my brains out. Gone. All that pain, all that suffering is ended. But I just had to really hang on. I just had to think of my son. I had to think of my mum. I had to think of my partner. I had to think of the people I love. If I do this, all this pain and suffering, I'm just passing on to them.
Ryan carried on with his treatment, but he was never the same. In May 2024, he was medically discharged due to PTSD, forcing him to adapt to a new life beyond the army.
As a parent, it's been awful to watch.
PTSD's it's changed my life forever. I've had to completely change my life and adapt it to having PTSD.
I don't suppose Ryan will ever go back to normal, to the way he was. I think Iraq damaged him for life.
How do you go to these countries? How do you see these things? How can you come back the same? I don't think you can.
The carnage, the destruction, the death that the soldiers saw on Operation Telic 9 is something you should never see in a lifetime. There is no way when a person sees something like that they are capable of forgetting that.
It's one of them where it'll never go away.
We all think we're dominant and alpha and we're bulletproof, you know, nothing can hurt us. And that's just simply not true.
So to anyone who's watching this, if you believe that you've got any form of PTSD or mental health, I'd say talk and reach out to someone. Don't deal with it on your own.
Just pick up a phone, go on social media, just talk to somebody.
You're not being weak, it's exactly the opposite. People who do reach out, people who can identify that they are struggling are the strong ones. And it's somebody like Ryan in the future, because of the journey he's been on, that'll be there to help other people.
As a filmmaker, I feel like if this project and all this time can save one life and one person can take inspiration from it, it's all been worth it.
PTSD. Mental health is an illness that nobody can see. When I leave this war, a piece will go with me. It's hard to control your moods so up and down, going through the day wearing an invisible frown. You'll feel all alone. It shouldn't happen to me. Am I all right? Or is this PTSD? War tears away your soul. There is no place to hide. People just don't know the hurt deep inside. You put on a brave face. You don't want people to know that deploying as a soldier can bring so much sorrow. We only talk to others who have been in the fight. It's a very close circle, which makes us nice and tight. How do you explain the hell you have been through when everyone at home just hasn't got a clue? Self-harm and suicide is just not the answer. You're a bloody soldier and a tough bloody fighter. Think of the people around you who are still around. You will soon feel better and be on solid ground. Time will make it better, the medical people say. Just keep on going, day after day after day. Deep scars in your mind take a long time to heal. You have to love yourself. This must be how you feel. So let's crack on, be more positive. Tomorrow is a new day. Accept the fact that some memories just won't go away. Learn to live, learn to love, starting with yourself. You know this is the right thing to do for your own mental health.